Hey everyone! Welcome to the Friendship Chemistry Podcast.
With Tiye and Jess.
That's right. It's only been 2 months, but we're back.
We were like, it's only been a month. No.
Check the last video.
It's been 2 months. We didn't even post in April.
That's so crazy because March, you think, right? Like, oh, it's literally May 20th. It's about to be June, and it's 90-degree weather we're expecting this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
But you know what? I feel like I've said this a bunch of times on our Instagram. If you don't follow us, go to Friendship Chemistry and you'll see our Instagram. So make sure you follow. But honestly, things happen. We do the podcast when we can.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
both have like other responsibilities, jobs, and different things that keep us busy. So this is very fun for us, and we're trying to be consistent, but we're not going to stress ourselves out. So we're happy we're here today. So that's what we're going to focus on.
I know. I love that too because it's like balance is key, and like obviously this isn't like our profession here. This is like a side hustle, little hobby, whatever.
It's a fun thing.
Yeah, it's cool, and like we figured come here with topics that might interest you guys. You can relate to it, and just like tell a story. Like our lives are our story. So
so without further ado, today's episode we're going to be talking a lot about friendships, when we should leave them, when we know they've expired, when we know it's time to give in the towel, or like I don't know, whatever expression you want to use, when it's time to like leave a friendship behind and move forward. How do you know, how has our friendship operated? How have we been friends for so long and never given up during hard times? What are our hard times? Like there's a lot we can cover. So we're going to let the conversation take us where it will go. And, you know, we might not cover all those things, but we still hope you enjoy the content we do give. So
yeah, no, seriously. You know what's interesting is like friendships, I feel like we don't really realize the importance of them and like the role that they play in our lives, right? Like when you think of like the dimensions of wellness, like health coach talk real quick, like
I was like, what?
So you have all these dimensions of wellness and like your well-being, like financial health, right? So you have your physical, mental, emotional. Relationships are huge, and not just romantic. Like the people that you open up to and you share like your life and your stories with, like the friendships, like they have a big impact on, you know, your life.
Right.
So I feel like this is a great way to just kind of talk about how and when did we realize, okay, this friend is no longer good for me? Like, do you have an example you would like to share?
Yeah. Before I get into that, I do want to say, like, I definitely agree with what you're saying. For me, I realize that's true because I know that I was looking at my friendships the other day and I was like, wow, I'm so lucky. Like, all the people that I surround myself with are, like, doing really good things. They're all following their passions. They're all successful in their own right. And that makes me feel like I've done something right to be surrounded by such a great group of people.
That's so true.
And if the opposite is true too, like if you are experiencing a lot of negativity or you're experiencing a lot of turmoil around you, maybe you need to look at your circle and see like who are you allowing to, you know, be a part of your inner circle. Because we all have friends that are not in our inner circle, and that's perfectly healthy, but also we do have our inner circle, those people that we do go to. So that's just a little spiel. But to answer your question, what was your question?
So my question was, it's okay because like what you said was 100% true. Like when did you realize, or how did you realize that the friend that you had in your past previous life that is no longer your friend currently was no longer someone that should be in your life?
So I will say that I only take things as they are right now. Like I don't say never, because it's like never say never. You never know when you can rekindle a relationship. Sometimes you just need time, and I think the last friend that I had that I don't talk to currently, we just needed a little bit of time, or specifically I needed time because I felt like what I was putting into the friendship wasn't being reciprocated, and I had felt that way for a while. But there was one instance where you know, some things were said to me and I felt like, okay, I feel like I show up for you a lot. I show up for you as a friend. I feel like I do my part, and I'm constantly feeling like this relationship is taking and not refilling me. And so I had to step back and I had to reevaluate the way that things went down. And I decided, like, you know what? I can't do this. Like, I can no longer put myself in this position to continually be hurt, especially after having like expressed myself and told this person, like, you know, I feel this, I feel like this, and I feel like this, and I understand that, like, people go through things and people can't always give their all to a relationship or a friendship in the moment, like, and friends have to be understanding of that, but nobody should ever feel drained by a relationship. Like, in general, no relationship should drain you.
No.
They're supposed to add to your life.
Right.
And when you feel like they're starting to take away from your life, I think that's when you have to start to reevaluate, like, is this relationship a good one for me?
Yeah. So. That is so powerful, because it's like, I think every day, because we have to make decisions every day. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's minor decisions or the really big decisions in life. And so for me, I feel like if we don't have that conversation, right? Like, sometimes people ghost, right? You have the people who just like disappear and you never hear from them again. And you're like, what's going on? I used to be that person.
In friendships
For
too?
friendships and relationships, I was scared of confrontation. And I'm sure a majority of people still are, or like working on that is really difficult. So it's like expressing to your friend how you're feeling and like having the conversation is really freaking uncomfortable. So for me, I've had a couple, I can name a few that I don't talk to anymore.
Okay.
It's not like a huge, like a big
Something
number.
happens.
Yeah, of like people, or like the what happened was like terrible to me, but I just realized this is no longer serving me. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling depleted. I'm feeling like I'm your therapist, and I feel like you should get professional help if it's like out of my scope of practice in my own life. So it weighs you down, and it's like, but your problems should not be my problems, right? So many years prior, like I would say probably 4 years ago, I had this one specific friend, and we were like really close. We would go to the gym together, we would go out together, and the phone calls that we would have really were heavily on her and like her problems, and just like pouring information onto me. And it's just like, I don't feel like you're asking or showing interest about my life. Or like, you know, it's like if we have the discussion about what I'm talking about, it's like maybe 2 minutes and then it goes back to you. So I feel like a real big part of a friendship and the key component is like listening and caring. Sometimes you just need someone to listen to you. Like, you don't need their input, right? And other times you just want the friend there to spend time with you, to enjoy an activity. Like, hey, you want to go to a park? Like, let's freaking go to the park, whatever. So, but anyway, long story short, I expressed to her how I was feeling. It was a very uncomfortable, okay? It was at a coffee shop, and when I was like, oh my God, I feel like the spotlight was on me, and I was like, how do I tell this person, like, I don't think I can be friends with you.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's not like you telling them exactly, like, we cannot be friends, but it's like you're expressing, I don't know if this is going to be okay with me, and then like slowly fading out.
Right.
And then, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, like, sometimes people evolve. We evolved past certain friendships. Like, not every person you're currently friends with is going to make it to your 50s, to your 60s. It's going to be a life friend. Yeah. Some people are only meant for, like, a time, and then that's it. Like, they were your friend during that time.
So true. That was
when they had their purpose in your life, and then that time passed. You're in a new place, and, you know, you just grow apart and things happen. So I think also it's like knowing when to let go, and knowing when to say, like, this friendship is no longer something that is good for my life, not just me, but for my life and my lifestyle. That could be like if you get married and you don't necessarily always have a whole bunch of single friends when you're married, because you don't relate to single people in the same way. Not to say that you should cut off people because they're no longer like on the same page with you or in the same season, but, you know, you should make room for, like, you know, for change to happen because it's inevitable. Do you think that you should leave on bad terms? Like, so I'm a girl who is not wanting to be friends with Regina, some random girl.
Regina!
I don't know.
From Mean Girls?
I know. Regina's George. I'm a girl who's not wanting to be friends with Regina.
Yeah.
And so I tell Regina, like, this is not really working for me. Like, how should I leave it, like, on bad terms? Should I leave it on terms where, like, we could pick up maybe a different time in life? Like, how should I leave it? What should I do?
That's a really good question, because it's hard to not compare to, like, a relationship, right? So, like, every breakup is not going to go real smooth, okay? Like, sometimes you're not going to, like, you guys are going to hate each other, and that's okay. And other times, you can wish each other well, give each other a nice hug, and be on with you, like, go on with your life. But with a friendship, too, it's like, I understand how sometimes it's better to just cut the cord, never talk again, and just give it some space, let them like grow and be, and then maybe sometime you just come back together. Like, think about 20 years from now. Like you said, the friendships that you have now may not be 20 years from now. Think about the friends you had 5 years prior. Think about even in high school. Your circle was so much bigger. As you grow older, you get more pickier, you choose wiser, and people change. So I can name 5 friends that I have, and like that's my friend group. And then the rest are acquaintances or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another question. How do you feel like you've changed in the last 5 years, and how does the change in your friendships reflect that change?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, you should be a journalist and like fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like you got the fire quick questions. So for me, 5 years ago, I was in college. Crazy to say. What year was that?
You graduated in 2018.
Yeah, so it's 2022.
Yes,
that was like 2017.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5
Yeah,
years.
2017, I was a junior at Scranton. So Scranton. X.
That's The Office.
Yeah, no, but actually it wasn't recorded. So everyone thinks that in Scranton they recorded The Office. It was not an actual Scranton.
But that's where they were, like, pretending
That's
to
where
be?
their location was, yeah.
That's hilarious. I never thought of that before.
Everyone's like, oh my god, they shoot it there. I was like, no, they didn't.
So, yeah, you were a junior at Scranton.
Yep,
and
Scranton.
your friendships.
So, essentially, like, what you did at Scranton was relatively drink and just study. Okay, so that was my friend group. Not the healthiest.
Yeah.
But I would say, I feel like everyone just migrates because they're trying to, like, I don't know, be with, like, either the most popular. It seemed kind of like high school, like, version, like, 2.
So how did you find your place in that world?
I was just trying to navigate and go towards, like, where people would accept me and how would I get into parties and, you know, like, how do people look at me in my social circle and where I stand. It was so, like,
it seems
realistic.
It seems like with that mindset, you give other people the power. Because it's like, if you accept me, that means that I'm putting it in your hands if you choose to accept me. And so everybody that was in your circle was based off of if they accepted you, not if you really, you know.
But you know what's interesting is I have a good handful of friends from Scranton, like even like my girls who are like lived off campus, and some like previously on my sophomore year, like who I'm still in touch with today. Those were my times like where I could be authentic and true. They know me as the Jess, and we've all grown and I love them. But then I could name a couple friends that were just there to just be there. You know?
Okay.
What about you?
So wait. You have to follow through on the question. So how do you feel like those friendships at that time represented you at that time versus the friendships you have now? How do they represent you now?
That's a great question. So now I feel more confident and competent to like express my feelings, live authentically to myself, and if and when I feel disrespected or like something is not being communicated or there's like this imbalance, I will speak to it and I will actually either try to repair the friendship or I will just go my own way. So I feel like I didn't have the strength to do that. I was very like so passive aggressive, or I would just pretty much ghost. Like it just wasn't really a good follow up or follow through with the process. So now I feel like more powerful, you know? And I can say, even these friends that I have currently, that still takes work. You still have to make time for them. You still have to like nourish the friendship. It just
For me, I would say that my friendships 5 years ago were all based on where I was at 5 years ago. So I was a part of a church 5 years ago where I made a lot of friends, and I was part of a community that made it relatively easy to stay connected. But now I'm not in that community anymore. So most of the people that are like in my close friends are people who I have felt connected to for years. Like, so my closest friends are you, my friend Precious, my friends Beyonda, my friends Tendrina. Like, that's probably like my core circle. And then I do have like my friends Kayla. I have like some outer core circles as well. And these are people that I've all known for at least 2 years or so, but these are people who have shown up for me. So I feel like my circle is one that are of loyalty, of trust. Everybody in my circle has a growth mindset, is on their own journeys as far as becoming their ideal version of themselves, which is important because I feel like that's who I am. Like if any of you like know me or follow me or anything, you can see that I'm always trying to learn from my mistakes. I'm trying to evolve in life. I share things constantly on social media. I'm trying to like do my social media stuff. I'm trying like I'm constantly trying to become the best version of myself. And I feel like that's the same with everybody around me. I feel like people in my circle would give the shirts off their back to see me succeed, see me survive. And so that's I think why I'm able to be so close to these people is because we all have this mutual relationship where it's not just take, it's give and take. And I think that's why some of the relationships, our friendships that's been unsuccessful are ones where I felt maybe I was drained or maybe other people felt like they were drained from me. Like I don't know. That's probably possible too because although I'm perfect, although I'm perfect, you know.
I think it's funny because our sarcasm is very like similar. Like if you ever think in friendships, right? The way you guys communicate is very similar to like, I don't know, yourself. And so it's funny how you kind of mold and shape each other. It's like holding up a mirror. Like obviously like everyone has differences, whether it's your skin tone, race, I don't care. Like it's like down to the core personality. You know what I'm saying? So I just find that funny.
There are things that connect us, you know, that make it enjoyable. Like you don't just pick a random person. You're like, I'm gonna be friends with you. Like you find somebody that you have commonalities with.
That is very true.
And it's funny because that was actually one of the things we talked about when we were starting our podcast was like, how are we gonna have conversations when we agree on mostly everything?
I know.
How is that gonna work for us? But we found our way around that and here we are. So
you know what's interesting is like I've seen myself even with the podcast because we started back in December. It was our first recording. And like as I have conversations with people just in general in public, I feel like I actually am able to open up more and like listen and actually be a little bit less judgmental of other people's opinions, perspective, and where they come from. So I don't know if it was the podcast or just kind of like a shift in my mindset. But also, mind you, I don't live home anymore. So I find that like even when this is getting a little off topic, but I find that even when you've had your hometown and you've grown up in that household, like you don't realize the influence of like your parents and how they have an impact on you versus like now you're single and on your own. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like I like this lifestyle, you know? But anyway.
No, yeah, that's 100% true. I definitely have seen us, you know, we talk about things we have never talked about. We explore topies, and I can see how that would have an impact overall on your life, even outside of this podcast that films every 2 months. But, you know. But it's interesting. I did want to go into a little bit about our friendship and our history because no friendship is perfect. Like, every friendship has their ups and downs. Every friendship has their times where maybe one person is more busy or I'm more busy. But how are some of the ways that you think that we've been able to maintain a successful relationship?
So it's interesting because I feel like we've had different periods in our lifetime where we've separated and then we came back. Like, I think mainly it was, like, college. We didn't really keep in touch as much, right?
Yeah.
In college
Mostly you.
Yeah.
But not mostly you. Like, you didn't keep in touch. But you were away at college.
Yeah.
I have always been home.
I had Jonah.
Yeah, I had Jonah, and then I was home for my whole college experience. So, like, when you would go back to school, like, I was still in school, but I was doing, like, home. So, like, we just, like, you know, like, we don't see each other for months. Like, it's like there's really not much things to say. And, like, we just didn't have as close of a relationship at that time. But we would still come together, like, on, like, when you would come back from break.
Yeah, we would.
I'd be like, oh, like, you'd be like, I'm home. Like, you want to do something? And I'd be like, yeah, like, let's do this.
We would go out.
Yeah.
Because originally it was, like, a group of us back in high school.
Yeah.
And then we kind of, like, all separated. Different countries and states.
I was like,
not countries.
I was like, who moved? moves out the country.
Anyways, but then like somehow I feel like we had really good we had similar interesting commonalities like that brought us together. Yeah,
we have similar upbringings as well.
And mindset. I think it's like the whole mindset thing where it's like, wow, you think that way too? I do too. Or it's like, oh, like challenging each other in certain ways and aspects. And like, so to answer your question, really what's I feel like helped us stay strong, right, is really just like holding up the mirror, right, and like reflecting to each other, like just stay true to yourself. So you know what's interesting is like you're one of many few people who really know me, like actually know me, like I think deep down, like knows everything that I hate or like, or not everything, but the things that trigger me, what kind of man I'm looking for, you know, what's something that's not gonna respect or value my life, stuff like that. So like when I come to you and I tell you stories or men that I'm talking to or certain like dates or scenarios, and it's just like, Jessica, remember who you are. It's like you, that little voice that reminds me. I think that's what a really good friend is. They know who you are, and every time you get misaligned or come far away from it, like they help kind of bring you back.
Aw, that's so nice. It's from the heart.
You know.
Period.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think thank you. And I think on top of that, something that we've both been able to do is we're different. We have different like personalities. We have different thought processes on things. But I think like we've been able to fit together very nicely. Like I think that for me, you're somebody who is kind. You're somebody that's easy to talk to. I find that I can tell you like I did the most crazy thing, and it's not like a Ty, like what are you doing? It's like, oh my god, like it's like, you know, and I need that. Like I am a very comical person. Like I don't take too many things very seriously, and so I need that person who's like a softer place to like tell my crazy things to and feel like I'm being heard.
There's not like a reaction. Like,
like
feel like
I don't judge. I don't feel judged.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's good. I think like also like I do have a very strong personality, and it takes like a certain type of person to be okay with it, and to know like if I sound like harsh in some ways, like I'm really not trying to be harsh. Like I'm like I can say things sometimes and it can come off very like okay, but it's like okay, like I didn't really mean for it to like come out like that. I just said like, you know. So I think that's some of the ways like I feel comfortable going to you and having you to be like part of my like support system and all those things.
That's great. That's really good.
Yeah.
I think too like that feeling of comfort, safety, like knowing you could come to somebody and like besides your therapist, you know how they say like everything you say is confidential, whatever, right? But like your friend is like I think
therapist.
Like honestly, like not your therapist, but like one step below it, right? Because like I don't think the friend should be responsible and to carry that burden, or like any therapist should. But there's certain things like I couldn't help you process. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like a friend who's non-judgmental and like respects your opinion and your decision, doesn't try to like make their opinion or their decision like on you, like, oh, I think you should do this,
right,
I think you should do that,
right,
or like disregard what you're saying, like I think you should do whatever you think is right. Because sometimes it's that tough love, we care a lot about the person, but like the person's not gonna essentially take that feedback really well. It's like a little bit like gonna actually do the opposite. Just like in coaching, we never really, it's client-centered, right? So it's like the questions are evoking.
Like, you're trying to get the client to recognize their own goals so that they can achieve them.
Not
so
doing
it's the
it
same
for
in friendship.
Exactly.
We're trying to, I get what you're saying.
You're not trying to direct the person and be like, I think you should do this. Right? That's not going to help.
And I think that's why some of my, like, back to that point, like, I think that's why some of my previous relationships or not relationships, but like friendships have not been successful, because at times I have felt like the other person is putting their stuff on me, and I'm like, that's not fair. I'm allowing you to be who you are in this relationship, so allow me to be who I am. And who I am is not somebody who's always perfect, who is without flaw, who doesn't make mistakes. Like, who I am could be like, I am like, you know, ratchet 1 second, and the next minute I'm telling you all about like the power of Christ. Like,
you know what's so funny?
That's just who I am. Like,
well, I feel like it's so funny because we had the discussion of this like the other day. I was like, I'm trying to find a balance here. Because I feel like some people know me as the church girl, or someone knows me as like someone who prays and is like spiritual. Others know me as the one who turns up like booty shorts and I'm twerking or whatever, like to Spanish music. So it's like, I don't want people to get conflicted and be like, this girl's bipolar. Yeah. Like, she's got two sides. Yeah. But it's like so true though. I feel like because we're the same in that way. Like chugging a bottle. Yeah, and
I think part of it is like, this is a whole tangent that I'm not really going to go on, but I'm going to touch on. I think part of it is like when you grow up in the church, when you're a part of a church community, you think that the only way to receive love or to receive acceptance from God is through being perfect. And so then what you start to do is you try to become this person who does all the things, who says all the right things, who does all the right things and acts in a certain way. And then you realize like, okay, but I also want to do this. So how does that fit in with this life? How does that work? And you realize like it's all about balance. It's not about what somebody told you your relationship with God is supposed to be like. It's about what feels right to you and what you and your relationship with God looks like to you and God. Because at the end of the day, we talked about this, like you're gonna have to answer to God, not another person. And so I can't make my decisions based on how people in the church are gonna feel, how people in the church are gonna react. And so that was my little tangent.
I think it puts a lot of pressure on a young adult, you know, a teen or whatever, right? And so I know moving forward too, in terms of my parenting style, this is getting off topic, but
your parents,
my parenting style, what I want for my kid is going to be very different from what I experienced. So I know that.
Yeah, and it's no shade to like the people who raised us.
Absolutely not.
We all, even our parents, are probably like, okay, like I didn't want to raise my kids. I wanted to fix this with my kids because I felt like this was like me. Not
Many
to say
times.
Our parents do the best they can with what they know, what they're given.
That was all they know. I would never hate or shame on them.
Yeah.
But it's like you now have the self-awareness and you have the ability to do what you want. Your parenting style is how you do it. And hopefully it works out.
Exactly. I don't even remember why we were talking about parenting style.
I feel like we were complimenting each other in terms of, like, our traits and like what we appreciate.
Perfect segue. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
What are some of our conflicts? Like when have we have issues and like what were the issues and how did we resolve them? And how have they made our relationship better?
I feel like I don't think we had like an actual argument.
No, there have been times where like I'm sure I know I have been annoyed. I can't speak for you because like I said I'm perfect. Why would you be annoyed at me? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
No, there have been times where like things obviously have frustrated me and upset me, and I've expressed some of those times too.
Like you will be like, all right, I gotta get this off and over with. Because you're like, I just want to get this cleared out in the air. And I like that you do that because you don't want to hold on to resentment. And I'm just like, okay, I like to create a space for people where they can feel free to speak freely and openly. So I hope that you felt that way. Like where you can feel
And I will say that's one of the things is that I feel like you do a very good job of like not taking things personal. Like if I say that you did something that bothered me, I don't feel like you internalize it and take it to a negative place of like, oh my god, like
I'm
she's always upset or like why is she like I don't think like I think you hear me and you acknowledge that what that action might have like upset me and that was not your intention, and then we move on because
sorry to cut you off, but I remember one instance when you said that I was trying to get you to dance and that bothered you. Yes, so like for me, I'm a super bubbly Zumba instructor. I love dancing. So we go to this bar and they have a DJ. And
you better tell it right or I'm going to get mad.
All right, so we go out. We're also going to, like, we went bar hopping that night. So we started off, got a couple drinks, then we went to this other bar and we ended up, there's a DJ. Whenever there's a DJ, my heart just, I get so excited.
She's like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the beat though. And so I'm dancing or whatever, like some guy spinning me around like usual. I wasn't even drinking. The way he came up, he was like, I'm not Spanish, but I'll take you out.
Like,
I'm like, okay. Just some white military boy who was like, I can dance bachata. And I'm like, all right.
Of course you can.
Whatever. And so anyway, yeah, so I was dancing, and then like I feel like also you were just sitting down.
I was vibing.
You were,
I had my drink.
Yeah, you
I
were.
was in a chair.
Because Ty has different moments. She'll be like the chair vibe, like that's just like her. Like sit back, I'm gonna just listen to the beat and like clap my
chair
and, like snap my fingers and then the toe.
Do my
foot. She was tripping people on purpose. Okay.
Did I trip somebody?
Yes. You saw I'm not moving my foot.
Oh. I'm not moving my foot was here
Your
first.
foot was completely out. And then people were trying to walk by and she was like, make a trip.
I was like,
They
I'm
could
not moving
step
my
over.
foot.
So I was like, all right, anyway, and so I was trying to get you to dance, like get up, right? I was like,
she wanted me to like
don't
get
be
up.
shy. I was like, have fun. And so I guess I came across like I was just trying to get you to like get out of your element, but you were truly enjoying where you were at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like pushing like the button.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, it made me feel like, it made me feel like I had to have fun the way you wanted me to have fun.
Yeah.
Or else I was like, you kept saying like, oh, don't be shy. And I was like, I'm not a shy person. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying like being in this. And so, yeah, so then I just brought it up to her. I was like, I really liked it. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, I could see what you're saying. And then she was like, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. And I was like, oh, thank you for apologizing. My problem is I'm always like, no, my instinct is saying, no, don't worry about it. But it's like, no, worry about it. Because, like, that is something.
You know what's so funny? Too,
that's funny to me.
You have a really sweet side, right? And
I'm dead.
You do. Like, you have, like, the really, really sweet side. But then it's like, okay, like you said, be real with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when it comes to certain guys, certain situations, it's like very sweet, but it's like then when you come into your car and you're like, wait a second, you start like fueling up because you're like, I don't know, you start speaking out more. You know what I'm saying?
My instinct is to be nice. Like, my instinct is to be polite and to be like, oh, don't worry about it, or don't like. But it's like, no, like, that affected me. And
it takes
and
time
matters.
to process.
It matters how people make me feel, and so that means that I can't make you feel better when I've been hurt. And I think that's the biggest thing is like like my instinct is to like, I don't want you to feel bad because you hurt my feelings. So it's like, how can I make you feel better? It's like, no, I don't. That's not like, I'm expressing myself to my friend. I don't have to make my friend feel better about something they did that hurt my feelings. Like, I can express myself and be concerned for myself and not you at that moment, and that's okay.
You know what's so interesting, and I'm glad you said that, is because like sometimes I feel like we try to like comfort our friend and like make it so they're not upset, or I'm just gonna say this really sweetly, or maybe not at all, because I don't want to cause conflict. So for those of you who are scared and don't like, you know, having that confrontation because you don't want to like get a reaction out of that person,
that's literally my whole life.
So when I was working with the coach, she really helped break it down for me, because she was like, let's go back to your childhood.
I'm dead.
And I was like, okay, when you were a child and you did something wrong or bad, your parents gave a reaction to it, right? They either whipped your ass, locked you up. Well,
not locked you up.
I have been. But like other parents
locked up?
Yes.
Like in a, like.
They put me, like, I've been whipped, obviously. Like, I've had rotations with Alex where like we were just spanked and it was like just rotating back to back. Like, I had soap in my mouth. Like, it's gonna sound like abuse. It does. But I did talk back. I got slapped many times because I was fresh, you know. I really did like push my mom's buttons. I probably shouldn't say this publicly. She's gonna be like, why you made me look bad? Anyways, back to childhood. So literally, like, if you got a reaction, which most likely we did, it's like kind of like reinforcing, like, oh, every time I speak up for myself, I get a reaction, or mom doesn't look happy when I say something, or dad is getting aggressive with me or punishing me because like I spoke up for myself and I didn't say something he liked. So where does that put you in your friendship when you want to speak up and say something to them? It's like you're reprogramming yourself to think there's going to be a negative reaction and that's going to cause pain or discomfort.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know? For me, I've so closely associated speaking my mind with like being negative or like having negative feelings as being a negative thing that I've never seen the benefit of expressing myself. And I think now that I'm an adult and I've learned a lot about just life in general, I've seen that there's so much positivity that comes out of expressing yourself. Like, creating a vulnerable place to be authentic in a friendship is so important. Like, our relationship can grow because we have these hard times. If we don't have struggle, then we can never grow past them. And it's when you grow past those things that you really learn the most, when you're in those places where you're not feeling heard, you're not feeling understood. And those things are so necessary to get you to that next level.
Yeah, that's so true. Honestly, it's through the pain.
It is. It is. And it's so hard. Like, I know for me, like, I realized that I was so avoidant. Like, I was so avoidant growing up. And recently I had something trigger that. And in that moment, I was able to say, okay, this is how I felt when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I felt scared. And because I was trying to protect myself, I went inside. I internalized. I felt that if I could remain calm and I could show no physical reaction to the trauma I was experiencing that was scaring me, that I could control the person's reaction, that I could make that person less volatile, that I could make that person not want to have an issue with me. And so what that taught me is that in my quietness and in my stillness, when I feel scared, that I'm protecting myself. That's my safe space. And so what that taught me growing up is that as long as I keep everything inside and I remain calm and neutral, that I can protect myself. But what I actually learned that that's doing to me is that's creating a place for me of avoidance. People are not understanding where I'm coming from. Self-expression is not present in that place. And so what I have to work harder to do now is recognize, okay, you're going inward, Ty. You're going inward. You're not expressing yourself correctly. This person is not able to understand where you're coming from. You're an adult now. You don't have to be scared. You have everything it takes to overcome those feelings and you can express that. And that's a lot. That's a really hard.
Expressing yourself. I really feel like it comes down to that. Like, how do we express ourselves? Because it's like one extreme is not healthy and the other isn't either. So you gotta either speak up, and if you're gonna do it, how do you communicate? So the only thing I can recommend is when and if you're having a conversation with a friend where there's conflicts coming and like you feel like this discomfort and you're like, I gotta have a conversation with her or him. I would suggest writing it down on your note page what you want to say, because it's good to kind of like see it on paper. And then see how you can formulate or make your touch points. Like, I just need you to know these things, let me hear your input, right?
And I wouldn't do it in the moment. So when you're frustrated, I would, like she said, write it down, write out what you're frustrated about. If you're still thinking about it the next time you communicate with that person, the next time you talk, then you probably need to have a conversation.
Then that's when it comes up again.
Yeah, because if something has bothered you enough to still be thinking on it or harping on it, that means it's worth speaking on. So that's how you know when it's time to, like, act on it. And always make sure that your approach is good, like make sure that you're going into it to not only get your point across, but understand. Like, listen to understand, because a lot of times people don't intentionally hurt us, especially our friends. They're
just there for,
yeah, they're not intentionally hurting you. And so sometimes it might help change your thought process as to how the situation went.
Exactly.
And so then you can be like, oh, okay, I can see where you're coming from as well. So go into that conversation really listening as well. That's alrighty.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I really hope you were able to kind of just understand, take some feedback, and like maybe apply some of what we said to your life, because we all have been there, honestly. So
we hope you can use some of this to not only get to know us, but like just use our experience to help you in whatever you're going through. We're always here for support, so if you want to reach out and talk to any of us, she is a wellness coach and I am just a girl. But
what? No, don't oversell yourself.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
But we really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, let us know what you think. Give us a thumbs up if you thought this was a good episode and you enjoyed this content.
Or a thumbs down.
No, don't give us a thumbs down.
I won't be offended.
I'll be offended. I'm more sensitive. Without further ado, we will see you next time, and thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye.